What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Tech NFL Wise Stream Showdown Edition. Monday Night Football, Saints, Raiders, Dirties to be done. Closing out NFL Week 2. Joined by the GOAT, the true OG, Paulie D, as usual. Paulie, what's happening?
What's happening, man? Long time.
It's been about 30 minutes since I last spoke to you. Just too long. Too long since we've had communication with the nation. We are back. With another one today. What do you think of the game, Paulie?
I think it'll be all right. You know, in LV, they're pretty tough. John Gruden status against a New Orleans team that's probably slightly overrated.
And a New Orleans team that's certainly hurting as well, as are my fantasy teams with Michael Thomas on the shelf.
Yeah.
We've got we'll go ahead and jump right into it. We've got a 48 total. That's down 3 points from 51.5. The Saints opened up -5.5. It's down to -4. I'm sure there's been some movement in consideration of Thomas, but this line has like slowly moved as we went like in the opposite direction of the Saints and towards the under, despite the fact that percentage-wise, a lot of the bets are coming in on the over and on the Saints. With that said, we'll get dirties done. Talk to me, Paulie, about how you think this game go. We'll talk like potential game scripts. Like, what do you think the most likely is?
I don't think there is like a truly likely one, but I guess it would be Saints lead, Raiders keep close, and slower scoring, like Saints go up 7, Raiders kick a field goal, Saints kick a field goal, Raiders kick a field goal, 10-6, like maybe the Saints score another one before the half. They're up 17-6 at half. Raiders come back, score one in the third. It's 17-13. Something along those lines where, like, the teams kind of stick to their game plans most of the way through is how I see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think on the Saints side, I expect to see them hurting with Michael Thomas, obviously. I would expect them to rely heavily on the run, though that might not be as easy to predict as it may seem, right? On the Saints side, we've got Kamara, who I expect to be the highest owned captain. But we've also got Latavius Murray, who they work in from time to time. Kamara's never really had a dominant split share. Usually, he actually is more likely to have one in a trailing game script. And then you got Taysom Hill, who you and I were just talking about before the show, who has a tendency to kind of vulture some touchdowns from time to time. So I think I'm with you on the game script. Most likely, it seems we would have the Saints kind of controlling the tempo of the game. We've seen Drew Brees not be the same on the road, and then especially with the way we've seen the total kind of dip here. Like I feel the same way. I feel like if the Raiders are going to cover this game, it's hard to envision it necessarily being a shootout. Maybe if this game was in New Orleans, you'd feel that way, but you kind of feel like it's going to have a slower pace to it, kind of a draggy sort of tempo. But on a one-game slate, raw points does matter. With that said, talk to me about Alvin Kamara and what your approach is on Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, I'm like, obviously it's a one-game slate. You got to like Alvin Kamara, but he feels a little pricey. And, you're going to see Latavius Murray get double-digit carries as well. I think on a site like DraftKings, you just got to play Kamara because he's got a very high chance of being the highest raw scoring player on the slate. FanDuel, it's probably not as attractive, but still there's not a ton of other options to replace him. So I think you can play him. I'd probably avoid the captain spot with him, to be honest. The way to get different. I mean, FanDuel, don't put him in that top spot. On DraftKings, don't put him in the captain.
Yeah, I agree. I think you don't want to fade Kamara, obviously, on DraftKings at least, like you said, where you're PPR dependent and he's a guy that's heavily involved in the pass game, and there's no Michael Thomas, so you envision him getting more passes. But I do agree that maybe putting him, like not putting him in the captain could get you different enough. Even if Kamara goes for 15, that may not be enough for a captain winner, but it could be enough to end up on the winning lineup. just simply because of raw scoring, especially if we're kind of predicting a lower scoring type game. So I think I agree with you completely on Kamara. I'll have a bunch of Kamara, but I'm going to try to go a little underweight as far as the captain goes. And he's projected to be like 20 to 30% of the captain, which is pretty big when you consider you only get one captain on every team. With that said, Paulie, we talked about Kamara. Well, I guess we'll talk about the rest of the Saints offense first. What do you like here?
So I like Latavius on the Saints, like Kamara, but I think Latavius is the one that you make sure to have a lot of. He's just so cheap and had such a strong role for them against Tampa, at least in the ground game. And then you get to the receivers: Traquan Smith, Emmanuel Sanders, Deontay Harris is like a Tyreek freak kind of skill set with the ball in his hand. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually gets a couple targets today with no Michael Thomas. Like in the screen game, they try to get him loose. He's the number one most dangerous punt and kick returner in the league right now. And on a showdown slate, guys like that are worth rostering. One play could set him loose. Be kind of interesting to pair him with the Saints defense. Look for that double dip. That rarely ever happens, but you do that. And then it's a tight end. It's Jared Cook, the revenge spot that I think is the best play in the Saints offense today. Obviously, pair him up with Breeze, and then Taysom Hill. A guy they're going to run some trick plays through. He could throw for a touchdown. He can catch a touchdown. He could run for a touchdown. They use him in all kinds of gadgets. And with no Mike Thomas, he'll probably have his ceiling in terms of opportunities. So, like him quite a bit in all different types of builds. But how cheap he is he projected to be popular, Taysom Hill?
Not that I saw earlier. I'll see if there's any updates, but from what I saw earlier, not particularly.
Yeah, I think you play the shit out of Taysom Hill, man. I think he gets one touchdown at 2,200. That's 4x at minimum.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, and not just that, but when you go into how the Saints typically do their offense, like there is a different scheme we see on the road. It's the same thing with Traquan Smith. This is not me being down on Traquan. I think Traquan's fine, being that we expect him to start for Michael Thomas. But you kind of just more so expect the Saints to try to run more, and it does make Kamara, like we said, very tough to fade. But it also makes Latavius Murray very interesting, and it makes Taysom Hill interesting because he's another one. And on top of that, they mainly try to use him when they're in the red zone. So when they're trying to get in the end zone, they bring him in, and he's extremely cheap. And I think he will be low owned. He never is high owned. So I kind of like the idea. Now, I guess in terms of raw points, it may not matter if you put Drew Brees and him in a lineup. But I'm more likely, I think, to put him on lineups where like Derek Carr, where like it's like a cheap cop out way of getting. The difference is like when you're playing him, he's so cheap. You're not really looking to stack. Like it's not like a regular quarterback, right? You're almost looking to play him with the run heavy situation, like play him with Kamara, play him with Lat Murray or some shit like that. But I agree with you on the Saints offense. I also think that Emmanuel Sanders could be interesting. A lot of people are talking about Traquan Smith, and rightfully so. But Drew Brees on the road throwing deep balls makes me a little bit nervous. I don't want to say like he's still good, and this Raiders defense is bad on paper. But I think Emmanuel Sanders could just as easily step up and become those guys. I do prefer Emmanuel Sanders and Jared Cook to kind of emerge along with Kamara as candidates for increased targets. What about the Raiders side, Paulie?
That's a tough one. What the Saints do have is a good run defense. It really makes me not that interested in Josh Jacobs, but he gets so much volume. You've got to use him a little bit. 6 targets last week. He's viable on both sides. I think the Saints likely win, and that means the Raiders have to pass. So Henry Ruggs, who is ruled in, Hunter Renfrow, and Brian Edwards, along with Darren Waller, the top option. So a lot of double tight end lineups. And, like if you do go with the receivers, you obviously want to pair it with Carr, but it's hard for me to envision Carr having like a big day today. I know he's much better at home historically. This is a new home. He completed 22 of 30 against the Carolina non-existent D and only threw for 239 and a touchdown. This is a really good D with one good corner. It's hard, I'm like, I think you just kind of throw in the Raiders as complementary pieces without too many stacks, like involving Derek Carr.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard. My favorite Raider is Darren Waller for sure. It's hard to envision them, like you said. They got Marshawn Lattimore, who's gonna work on the outsides, and like in theory for Ruggs, they're supposed to. He's more of like an after the catch kind of guy. They're excited about, so we could see some screens. The different sets they try to pick. What's his name? Fucking Marshawn Lattimore if they have to get around him. But I also think that their other receiver, the number 2 receiver, the other rookie Henry. No, that's Henry Ruggs. Who's the other guy? Fuck. Blanking on his name. Howard. Edwards. Brian Edwards. Yes. Yeah. So maybe he's undervalued, which they ran a lot in week 1. They may not have that same luxury if they are trailing in this game. So maybe we do see the targets more spread out. Either way, I think Waller over the middle of the field is probably where they feel the safest attacking a guy like Ruggs. You mentioned Renfro, obviously, where we could take advantage of the slot matchup. But Tom Brady did try to exploit them via the tight end. He did throw the ball to Howard 7 times. It's just they only connected, I think, 4 of the 7 passes. But so I do like Waller the most. I think Renfro in the slot is obviously could go undervalued. So I think people may take Carr what he did in week 1 and just assume he's going to do the same week 2, but we're expecting somewhat of a different game script, so maybe they do try to throw a lot. Either way, I wouldn't fade Jacobs. I want Kamara more, and I'm kind of more interested in the passing game, assuming that they're trailing. But obviously, you don't want to fade Jacobs in the event that they, he could just creep in for 2 touchdowns if they only use him on the goal line. That's a situation that could happen, Dirk Nasty style. But yeah, I'll let your boy. I guess you want to do like top 3 captains.
All right.
Top 3 captains. Let's go.
Like that.
Let's go. If you have any questions, get them in. Let's go.
Get them in hard. Jared Cook, Latavius Murray, and you're not gonna need him as a captain. Jesus, and Traquan Smith.
Trake was on. I'll go with Darren Waller, Emmanuel Sanders, and I'll go Derek Carr. I don't love it. I do like. Kamara is the obvious third. I think both of us are trying to, go underweight there, but
yeah.
But he's probably the third in rank. Carr would be right behind him, mainly because they don't have a Taysom Hill, so it's I think a logical explanation. Let's see if there's any questions in here. What up, Kyle? Good to see you, Kyle. What up, Elliot? Good to see everybody piling in here. Watch some NFL action. A funny video says who is a safe captain and who is a dirty captain. Safe is probably Kamara. Safe as far as optimal Kamara. If you're playing cash games, right? It's Kamara. Yeah. Who's your dirty guy though?
Yeah. Taysom
Hill. That's real dirty, bro. That's real. Like you it's about how dirty we're gonna get. Taysom Hill or Lat Murray are like the ultimate dirty of the dirties because they're so cheap. And like you said, Lat Murray had like 14 carries in that last game. So it's not like, it's not no from under shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think those would be the dirty dirties. If you want to go like dirty as in pivot, does not be Kamara. Mine is Waller. I think Paulie's was Jared Cook, right? But if you want to talk about down dirty, yes. That's what that is. Kyle Bogus, do you think the Saints win?
Yes.
I think they win. It could come down to like a field goal, maybe some backdoor action. We could see like a backdoor cover type situation for the Raiders. But yeah, I think the Saints win the game.
Yeah, I think like 1 point, or like 3 or 4 points, something like that.
Right. All day. Funny video says, I don't know, man. I like Saints defense. We didn't talk about the defense, which that is my bad. But especially with us having the game trending towards low scoring, like one of these defenses should be in play. It ain't going to be the Raiders for me, but the Saints defense probably in play, right?
I think they're both in play. Like I wouldn't be shocked that this game is like 14-10. You know what I mean? Like, and a double defense kind of 3 or 4, skill player lineup wins the all the
All the
titties.
titties. I mean, you definitely get the vibe that the Saints are gonna just like the main reason that I would put now there's always special teams, but the main reason I would put the Saints over the Raiders is because I expect the Raiders to throw more. I really think the Saints are going to try to run the ball a lot with no Michael Thomas. And why wouldn't you? You have Alvin Kamara, you've got Lat Murray, you've got Taysom Hill, and you got a quarterback who, has really strong splits on when he's at home versus on the road. So I think we do see the Saints try to run the ball a lot. And I think the defense can correlate, and I think the Saints defense is more likely to make bigger plays. But that is a good point, plays. It's been a while since I've said that word like that. But yeah, I think that is a good point. In general, let's see.
Talk to me about like exposures. How are you working that?
Oh man, that's rough. So obviously, like your raw points guys, right? Like I may only play Kamara 15% or 10% on the captain, but I'm gonna play him obviously like 60-70% of my lineups because raw points,
Right. Yep.
I think Breeze, I'm probably going to have somewhere around 30. And in my mind, take an underweight stance, right? Because I'm expecting him not to throw much. I obviously want some in the event that even if he doesn't, he still ends up being, again, raw points matter. There are scenarios. But I think I'm more interested in like the Saints running game with like an Emmanuel Sanders or a Jared Cook, like one of them. And then on the Raiders, I think most of my exposure on the Raiders will be Darren Waller, right? And I'm thinking, you figure Darren Waller, my highest owned captain, would make him like 20 to 30%. That'd be my highest owned captain. And then because I like him anyway, I'll probably have another 50 to 60%. It's like weird talking about exposures with captain. But like 50 to 60, like regular, not captain, which would regular, like iced tea, son. You know how we do that. What about you? You got anything in mind?
Well, I'm like capping my players as we're doing this discussion. I'm like, man, like, how many lineups do I want without Jared Cook out of say 20? It's like not many.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
So I'm up at 90.
I feel you.
And then the captain aspect does kind of put that variable in there where like, that I'm like putting strict caps on. Like I put 0 for Kamara. I put 25 for Breeze. I put 10 for Carr, and it's mostly receivers that are getting the 40s and 50s and running backs.
Right.
I mean, then tight ends.
Tight ends all day. I feels you though. In the A. Let's see. Kyle Borger says Ruggs might be limited. I think it's possible, but he did practice in full on Friday. Earth to Air, you probably right. I'm geeking. Car stinking. Yes. Understandable. Steve Samsell just got off the golf course. If you were going to slam a single entry, who's your captain on DK? Oh.
Ooh, single entry. Rough.
Showdown style.
Rough But Jared Cook for me.
I would say Waller. Paulie says Cook. I think we both would not use Kamara just because he's expected to be popular. Like Dix.
I mean, I would think he's going to be 50%.
Right? Like, which is unusual. You don't usually expect a player to be that high in the captain. But
yeah.
Shit. All right, then. What's it? ESMD, the Degrominator. Yes. Has irrelevant to the show, I know, but gotta respect it when I see it. Elliot, so happy I don't have to play KBO anymore. You and me both, bro. Kyle Bogart, Renfro at captain for savings.
If you need it, but I feel like you're not going to need it. Like, I mean, I'm jamming Taysom Hill into like 90% of 80% of lineups, right? 22 hundo. That kind of opens the door for like you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is the Saints have always been vulnerable in the slot. So assuming Renfro is man in the slot, which I believe he is, like I could see a world where, especially on a PPR site, where that adds up. But it's still hard to envision him being the highest scorer, And like Paulie said, like if you are using certain value pieces like Lat Murray, Taysom Hill, whatever, it's hard to envision needing to pay down a captain. But it will be different, no doubt. Travis Duarte, how much Taysom Hill are we actually playing, and what's your expectations?
I'm playing about 80%. I think he gets 10 points, 5x.
Yeah, man. All we really need to do is get in the end zone once. Nice little. Maybe give us like what 20 to 30 rushing yards.
He like double digit, not double digit, but like 5 or more targets.
Oh yeah.
Don't like.
Oh yeah.
Miss. I mean, that's a large chunk, and I wasn't really impressed with Emmanuel Sanders last week. I mean, I do think Traquan Smith steps in and gets 10 targets today, and like that's the guy you want the most out of their pass game besides Jared Cook. But there's nobody else. There's Taysom Hill, and there's the burner kick returner guy, Deontay Harris, and we've just seen them. I mean, we've seen them utilize both sparingly, but now Mike Thomas is out, which we haven't seen in a while. So those guys, those are two guys to just get dirty with and play a lot of.
Yeah, dirty style, for sure. Let's see. There's another question. Let's see. All day in the A. Murray at running back tonight. Yeah, I think I can get on board with some of that. Lat Murray. I'll play him with Kamara too. That was one of the biggest mistakes I made last showdown when you asked me if I would play Hunt and Chubb. And like immediately after the show, I was thinking about it. Like that was dumb. It's a 1-game slate. Like why wouldn't you? You know what I'm saying? So so I would definitely do it with I'll definitely do it with a fucking $3,400 player that got 14 carries in the last game. In a game where you expect him to be leading and wanting to run because Brees sucks on the road. Holla. Steve Samsel says tight end season. Sounds like it to me. Elliot says, why is Sick had the only solid... What's that?
Did you say season or season?
Oh, season. SCN. Season. Season. Isn't Season. Season.
I just like saying it. Season.
Oh, season. I thought, yeah, whatever. Elliot says, why Sick had the only solid advice for KBO? The damn fucking straight side. Shit would drove me crazy, though, man. Staying up late like that, doing all that dirty, waking up at 5 in the morning in lineups. That sucked. Don't miss it. But appreciate those of you who came for the ride, man. Appreciate those of you who came for the ride. Hit that like button. Bunch of you in here. And not a lot of likes. On the last show, we didn't have a lot of people in here, but we did have a pretty good ratio in likes to who was watching. Got a few extra people in here. Likes are down. That's a fucking problem. So please hit the like button if you want to do dirties. With that said, we're going to get up out of here. Paulie, anything in closing before we go?
No, that's it. Good luck. This one ain't too exciting, but it's fucking football, and we got it.
Better than KBO. One last question from my boy Cliff. Kamara or Jacobs captain 1 GPP lineup?
Say that again. Kamara
or Jacobs for the captain in one team?
Kamara, but
I don't like it, but I would say one. Shout out to Joey in the chat. He says, don't worry, you'll be up in the middle of the night very soon. Appreciate that, Joe. Referring to my wife, who is pregnant, and the child I'm expecting in January. So, nice words of encouragement from Patio Joe, baby. Which reminds me, tomorrow night, Patio Joe and myself, late night, 11:30. We will be doing myself and Joe will be doing the NFL first look for week 3. So I'll be very excited to approach that slate with the veteran father, Patio Joey Baldino. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire Wise Tech Nation, as always, good luck.